I feel like for years I have been praying for a superhero comic book movie that is creative and strange and silly and goofy and sincere and fiery and fierce and spectacular. And with Birds of Prey, my prayers have finally been answered. Alright, so first video of 2020, we're here talking about Birds of Prey, the new film in the DC universe. It's a new film from DC. Don't really know what's going on with their continuity anymore, but whatever they're doing, it is working for me. This film is directed by Cathy, written by Christina, and it follows Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, who has separated now from the Joker. I think it's somewhat taking events of Suicide Squad and kind of rolling them into a new adventure that centers around her character. I don't want to say too much about it because I did go into this not watching trailers as I usually do with blockbusters. Incredibly glad I did, because let's just say that I feel like I probably underestimated this movie and what it could be to me. Because what it is something that I absolutely adore. It also stars, and they're all absolutely wonderful, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Jurnee Smollett-Bell, Ella J. Basco, Rosie Perez, Chris Messina, and an absolutely fabulous Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. This cast is having so much fun. This whole movie is having so much fun. But if I want to boil it down to just kind of one thing that really kind of stunned me about this movie, that's really just taken me by surprise and kind of blown me away, is that this to me feels like the most purposefully made live action comic book movie, live action superhero movie that I have seen in a very, very long time, in this new age of kind of these very studio-driven superhero movies. We're not in the days of the Nolan Batman movies or Raimi Spider-Man movies anymore. Movies are made differently now. But this one here, not a dollar or a shot seemed to go to waste. It feels to me with this movie like Cathy knew exactly what she wanted to do with this movie and didn't let a single moment go to waste. That's not to say that I think the movie was flawless and that I didn't have little moments where I went, oh, maybe that could have been done a little bit better, but I felt directorial intent, the intent of one singular vision in every aspect of this movie from start to finish. Even the moments where the movie does kind of go into bigger set pieces that do require some visual effects work, it never once felt like it was done by a team of visual effects artists separate to the director. It felt like this was her movie, her vision in every possible way, and that is the number one reason I adore it. I can see the work that went into every single frame of this movie, and I want to take a moment right now to talk about just how phenomenal the stunt work and action choreography was in this film. This is probably my favorite action choreography in one of these movies since probably The Winter Soldier. I feel like, I'm pretty sure this had to be the same team. There was a lot of the same stunt guys. I feel like it had to be the same team as the John Wick movies. There's so many kind of trademarks of their action, or at least their action directing style, that I saw in this film. The action has so much crunch and it has so much fun. There's a fantastic flow to it where it feels like the actors involved are really mining everything they can, not only dramatically, but comedically out of these sequences so that they're incredibly fun, but also incredibly hard hitting. The movie is gorgeous to look at. I had no idea it was shot by Matthew Libatique, one of my favorite cinematographers, who manages to make this film kind of explode with color and style, and, you know, it feels, this movie's just like a blast of confetti to the face, but it also feels like the cinematography actually has a bit of weight to it. It's really working with this gloriously fun production design and these elaborate, crazy costumes that were absolutely wonderful. It's working with all of that to make a film that's not just washing a scene with blue or red or green, but actually lighting the scene, lighting the faces, really drawing out as much kind of detail as we can in those spaces and in the expression of the characters, and then it goes in and adds all the crazy colors and all that stuff, and it looks gorgeous. The soundtrack here, look, this movie takes in many ways what I think Suicide Squad was going for, or at least what the studio made Suicide Squad go for, and nailed it completely. This was pretty much the version of Suicide Squad that I would have liked to have seen. These characters, these wonderfully realized characters with really, really strong stories, really, really strong emotional kind of backstories that drive what they go through in this film, what they chase, what they're after, what they're trying to be recognized for. I think that's what I love about the character arcs in this movie. It's characters fighting to be recognized as who they want to be recognized as, pretty much, as opposed to characters kind of going through a journey of becoming something that they weren't at the start of the movie. That's not to say the characters go through change, but it's very much about them fighting to be seen. And I really love that in a story that's pretty much about female empowerment. This movie absolutely kicks ass. It is so just But anyway, the soundtrack is the stuff by Daniel Pemberton in there, who's a fantastic composer. It's weaved in with this really fun kind of modern soundtrack with a lot of these really fun kind of guest features, these pop artists coming in and doing fun stuff. But I think it all really worked. It gives that movie that kind of pop explosion that I think it really benefited from. It is an incredibly funny movie as well. The comedic timing and the comedic setup. There's a lot of really, really intelligently laid out jokes. It really knows how to have fun, and it can go goofy. It definitely does go goofy. And Ewan McGregor in particular really nails that stuff. I love that this movie takes these comic book characters, many that I've wanted to see on the screen for a long time, particularly Victor Zsasz, who is played by Chris Messina. I think he did a wonderful job of taking this character that is, so many different things on the page, because that's the thing. All of these characters are different things in all these different comic books. There is no one accurate version. And I love that the movies didn't necessarily go for the most popular version. They just kind of did their own thing with the fundamental essence of every character intact. And I love that, because that is what these live action films should be doing. They should also be creating their own lore and, creating their own versions of these characters. And I love the way the actors embodied every single one of them. I think that the DC project, whatever they are doing right now, everything seems to be working between Shazam and Joker and now this movie. I think their individual approach to filmmaking, let's not worry about making a universe. As much as I do really, really love, Wonder Woman and Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, you can watch my Why I Love Batman v Superman, how I came around to loving that movie. Go check that video out. But I think they've actually found something that really works for them now. They're just making movies. They're going out and telling individual stories. And I think that is DC playing to their strengths. And I hope that they continue to do it. I hope they continue to make director-driven movies, truly director-driven movies like this. Movies where the writing really feels like it's doing everything I love. Whatever this movie did, I want them to keep doing stuff like this. I love that this movie is so overblown and over the top. And yeah, there's some moments where I think, hey, maybe that could have been done a little bit cleaner. Maybe that kind of moment of action floats a little bit without too much character drive behind it. Maybe there's a lot of voiceover in this movie that's not going to work for everyone. I think it was really effectively done. I loved the handful of fourth wall breaks. Look, I kind of just loved everything about this movie. I love what Margot Robbie has turned this character into. I love the fact that I didn't walk away from this movie going, oh, she's just the best person in the world. It's a movie that still recognizes that she's been the bad guy, a truly terrible bad guy, for most of her life. And now she's trying to come back round on it, but she's not all there just yet. And I can't wait to see where this character goes. I can't wait to see where the Birds of Prey go. I'm going to be there for whatever's next. I hope that Cathy Yan returns. I hope that Christina Hodson returns. I hope to see the Birds of Prey again. But right now, this is like my new age comic book movie superhero dream come true. And I'm so excited that it exists. So So those are my thoughts on Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Have you seen it yet? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you like this video? Well, of course you did. You can subscribe to Breaking Banter down there somewhere, as well as my main channel Loverboy over there somewhere where you can check out my video on BVS, which I think a lot of you will enjoy watching. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you really want to help support this channel, you can support on Patreon. Thank you so much to everyone who is doing that already. You guys are the best, and I'll see you all soon.